Welcome to the Artist Loft, the talk show for all artists. Join us each show as we spotlight a variety of different creatives, hosted by the Florida Arts Network, with Richard Sosa and Frank A. Ruffolo.
Hey, and we're back.
Welcome.
Yes, Alicia is still with us because Frank and his wife Christine are actually on a cruise this week.
Yes.
So Christine is feeling much better after the accident and everything. So, you know.
It's like a honeymoon.
Yeah, there you go. So this show is brought to you by the Florida Arts Network. We are a 501c3 nonprofit for the arts, and one of our main goals is to bring the arts to our youth. Because unlike my youth when I was growing up in New York City, the arts were right there. They were everywhere. You know, I've gone to the opera. I've gone to the ballet. I've listened to classical. When I was in band in high school, I learned how to play all the brass instruments. Played a little bit with percussion, guitar. I was in a camera club. I was in a drama club. You know, I had all of this stuff. But it seems like nowadays and down here, there's not a lot of that going on, and so we want to be able to provide resources for a lot of these kids that want to get into the arts. I have connections with people that are choreographers, with people that are painters, with people that are acting teachers, stuff like this. And a lot of times they can't afford to take some of these classes. And so we want to be able to jump in and say, hey, listen, this is a great workshop that you can go to. You're gonna be in front of some great talent agents and stuff like this. Or listen, you know, I know this guy. He's an amazing choreographer. This guy has choreographed videos all over the world. You know, here we want to be able to provide that. Or if they show some talent with, say, guitar, we want to be able to get them a guitar. That's the kind of thing that we want to do. But it requires some money. So this is where you guys come in. If you go to our website, which is floridaartsnetwork.org, it's right there on your screen. Right on the first page, we list a bunch of ways that you can help. And it's not always just financial. There are lots of we need help with a lot of things, with social media marketing and all kinds of stuff like that. So please visit our website, and if there's any way that you can help, let us know. We'd love to use you, but we won't abuse you. Don't worry. All right. So today we have a guest who I've known for quite some time. His name is Bruce Smith. He's a fashion photographer. Well, actually,
Yeah,
you do a
welcome.
lot. You do a lot of different things, not just fashion. But let's.
I started out with fashion, and I do pretty much everything. I do corporate, I do families, I do everything, sports.
Okay, so now we're gonna ask you to go back in our time machine, back to when you were a kid, and your mom got you your first camera.
She bought me my first camera for my 9th birthday.
Wow.
And it was I can still picture what it looks like until I'd say the last 5 years or so, I still owned it in my possession.
Did you really? You're kidding.
I would not let it go for anything. And when I was going through some photography classes in school, I brought that in because they say, well, you have to bring a camera with you. So I brought that in. What's that? That's my camera. No, it's not. Not in this class, it's not.
Do you remember what kind of camera it was?
It was a Kodak, and the model number didn't really have one on the face of it, so I couldn't remember. but my allowance back then was like $2 a week, and it went to buying the flash cubes, film, 126 film, and processing.
I remember those flash cubes. You put them on the camera, you take the picture, and when you advance the thing,
Yep.
the cube would turn.
It would turn
just
by
like
itself.
four little bulbs in the cube.
Wow.
I remember
Wow.
those from history classes, of course.
And you did the whole process of it, of printing and
Well,
everything?
at that time, I did not. I was 9 years old. My
Oh,
parents
yeah,
wouldn't
yeah.
let me near chemicals until I was at least 13.
Wow.
13 years old, I ended up with a black and white darkroom in the bathroom in our basement.
Wow.
And they always told me
Wow.
that you should leave the film in there for this long and that long. And when I was doing the prints, I'm like, no. I'm going to keep it in the developer as long as until I see how I want the image to be.
Okay.
And I try to recreate that nowadays with everything being digital now.
Right.
I try to recreate that in my head for different shoots, for different images during a shoot. I just try to just keep in mind, okay, this is what I'm looking for, and I've never had a complaint since I've been doing fashion at least 12 years. I've never had one complaint. I've been
Yeah.
shooting on and off most of my life with everything else.
Want to look at the screen? That's the picture that I modified.
My former assistant, I kept having to yell at him all the time.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Oh, Shakespeare.
Yeah, and the second half of the show, we're gonna show some of his work. I remember when I was in high school, I was in the camera club,
I was too.
and I was
I was on the yearbook.
so I would take pictures of different sporting events that would go into the yearbook, all that stuff, and it was funny because Benny and the Jets was the big song back then. And it was always playing.
John.
And they had a radio in the dark room, and so every time, I was in the dark room, Benny and the Jets was playing. So now, if I hear that song, I can actually still smell like the Dektol, the Microdol X, and the
right?
Stop-Bath,
Yes.
all that stuff.
that
yeah.
musky
all those chemicals,
chemical.
I can still smell.
Yeah.
Because the sense of smell is the strongest memory.
Yes. They did a research on that for Alzheimer's patients, but back to you.
Wait. Actually, that's a whole other show because now a lot of people are calling Alzheimer's diabetes 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
But that's another show for another. Maybe one day we'll have like a health related thing because as artists, we need to be healthy.
it's the art of medicine.
Oh,
Yeah,
there you go. Okay.
No, you have to be.
Exactly.
A chemist is an artist in a sense. You have to put all these ingredients together and be creative with it.
I actually know somebody who does that with makeup. Yeah, she's a makeup chemist. She develops makeup.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
It's
That's
really,
awesome.
I know. isn't it?
That would be a great episode.
I know that would.
Another.
Yeah, I'll have to have her on the show.
So then you went off after you grew up from 9 years old and you advanced in your craft.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about your journey.
When I was in high school, I was always a class clown, so I never I never planned or wanted to go to college. And my parents always told us, we didn't, so you guys are going to college. No matter what. I don't care, you're going to do your... I was in 9th grade in junior high school. They came around to my school from vocational school to get new students for the following years. And I was petrified to talk to my parents about it. Because I thought for sure I would be like, no, you go, I don't care, you're going to 4 years, I don't care, you go.
Even though you got recognition from your peers,
Yes, but
And-
that came after.
that became after.
So I finally talked to my parents about it. My father's like, I don't care what you do, as long as you're continuing education somehow. I don't care if it starts the next year or after you graduate high school, you're going.
Okay.
I'm like, okay. So I signed up for classes for graphic arts, which at that particular time had 3 sections to it. Was offset printing, photography, and graphic arts, basically, which is different than graphic arts is today.
Yeah.
How was it different? So
There's no computers, everything was manual, and you drew everything. So I really excelled in my photography class. I excelled in all of them, but I excelled in my photography classes. And every year, our teacher gave us assignments. At the beginning of the year, by the end of the year, I want this, this, and this. for the one assignment. And that would count as 50% of our total grade for the year. So, and he didn't tell us what we were able to do, he just gave us ideas. So my first reaction, I went down to the cosmetology class, and I went, instead of going to the couple of students there, I went to the teacher. And I'm like, do you mind, this is what this is with Mr. Bailey just giving us these assignments for this year? Oh, absolutely not. You can, anytime you want to come down, come on down. I'll take my girls off, whatever you need to shoot with them and shoot them itself. So that's how I got started. And a couple of my classmates, they saw me going down there and coming back all the time and processing the film from that. They're like, well, we're going to do that. I'm like, good luck. So they went down there and the teacher kicked them out. Because every single time, they went straight to the girls. So they came to me one time, and I ended up having to ask the teacher, why are you only allowing me? She says, bring your buddies down here tomorrow when you try to come down. I'll tell them to their face. You are the only one that had the courtesy to ask me directly before approaching any of them.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, because I always say that gentlemen, such as yourself,
At the time
are an
I was a
endangered
gentleman.
species. I'm sorry?
At the time, I was a gentle boy.
Yeah, but you're a gentle boy. But still, you had it in you. And
Yes.
endangered
Yeah.
species.
And I still do.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Everyone I shoot with, no matter what level they are, whether they've never been in front of a camera before or if they've been in front of a camera for 30 years, I always treat them with the utmost respect from before we even shoot through the entire shoot and after.
Yeah, so you feel like a part of your gift and your abilities is to make the
models.
the model. There's another term for it. Not species. Okay, let's just say model.
The species.
Well, as you can see, my other species with my former assistant.
That's when you
Monkey
want to monkey
see,
around.
monkey do.
But he was the monkey that was doing. I was the one that who was seeing.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you know, respect just goes a long way in anything that you do. I talk to a lot of my.
It's also earned on every level from everyone around.
Yeah, and I talk to a lot of my acting students about it, and I tell them, look, you need to respect everyone that's on set, because you never know. Today's PA, production assistant, might be tomorrow's director.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This one girl shared a story with me that she had gone to this cattle call, right? And a cattle call is like it's like an open audition.
Casting call.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we call it a cattle call because they heard you didn't like cattle, right? So she's walking in the side door. Somebody's holding the door for her, and she just looks at him, just ignores him, and walks right on in, right? And I was like, well, that was rude. She goes, oh, no, it gets better. Well, she gets on stage to start her audition, and when she looks out, the guy that was holding the door for her was the director.
Wow. Wow.
And so he goes, before you start, I don't think that you're right for the part, but thank you so much for coming out.
Oh, wow.
She didn't even get a chance to audition.
Wow.
So yeah, and
You never know.
no, you
never
You
know.
never know. You should be respectful to everybody, and not just because like, oh, I better be respectful to him because that's the director. No, just be respectful to everybody.
Exactly.
And Bruce, tell me, what kind of fashion photography, so our audience knows that you concentrate on?
I do a lot of model work. Well, not me as the model, but me photographing. I did have
sure,
one
Bruce?
picture. I was in front of a lens one time. I was about 9 months old, and I still carry that picture in my phone. Well, a copy of it.
Yeah, when you were
in my
9
phone.
months old.
Yep, or thereabout. My first interaction with a camera. I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Okay, so one thing about Bruce, we're both very ADHD.
We are? You're talking about we? I don't speak French.
No, Bruce and I are very
Parlez-vous
ADHD.
espagnol?
Oh, you okay?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I'll let that
So,
go.
I-
He was looking at me, Bruce. He
well,
goes,
because I was
"We're
talking to
both."
you.
You're
No, it's
talking
so
to
funny.
me.
I was talking to my daughter. I was talking to my daughter yesterday, and one of the things with people with ADHD, one of the issues that they have is time blindness. Right? You don't realize
Yeah.
how much time has gone by. Like somebody might call me and say, "Hey, man, haven't talked to you in like forever." I said, "Wait, didn't I talk to you a couple of weeks ago?" "No, man, it's been 6 months." "Oh." And so I was mentioning that to my daughter. And she goes, "What, Dad, are you trying to live in dog years?" And I was like, and the two
And you must have
Oh,
died.
the two of us. We were laughing on the phone for like 5 minutes straight, crying.
That's
my stomach
great,
hurt.
that's great.
And I was like, "Oh, please, God, help me remember what she said."
Aw.
But it was great. So anyway, I'm sorry. What was the question to him again?
Blah, 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 photography, blah,
Wah,
blah,
wah, wah,
fashion.
wah, wah.
I know,
Charlie Brown's teacher.
like the school teacher in Charlie Brown.
Oh,
There are times where someone starts trying to tell me how to do what I do, and I know what I'm doing. That's all I'm going to be hearing is like, wah, 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 wah. I'm like, how come you didn't?
yeah.
No. I don't mind working with models who have been in doing it for 30, 40 years or even 20 years, and they have a lot of experience because I don't have to give them as much direction. But I do give them direction because it matches what I'm asking them to do, matches the vision I have in my head for that particular image.
Yeah.
oh, I
Yeah.
see. Mhm.
It's
Every
like,
ti-
it's like an actor on a film set.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
It's the director's vision. You know, that's what you have to
So I will never, under any circumstances, physically touch anyone during a shoot or any time
Okay.
without their verbal permission every single time. For example, I had a model that I kept asking her to just move her hand in a specific way, and 3 times I'm like, it just wasn't what I was asking. Do you mind if I move your hand?
Okay.
Okay. And then after that, and the girl was 13 years old. Just her mother was trying to get her into modeling because she was a model.
Yeah.
And her mother came over to me after the shoot. She said, "I really appreciated how you handled her because she's going to learn
yeah.
a lot from you and from this particular session. And you're going to be the main photographer that I'm going to be using to help her grow." Unfortunately, we only did that for about another year. We only shot for about another year, and then they moved across country.
Oh,
I'm like,
man.
so that can still happen. Just pay my expenses out there.
There you go. All right, so we're gonna break here for a quick commercial, and we'll be right back.
Ever needed a good read? Maybe a book to keep your mind off things. Frank A. Ruffalo is an internationally known author and accomplished screenwriter. He's written many successful novels with amazing stories. Fiction adventures like The Lady of the Harbor, The Trihedral of Chaos, Gabriel's Chalice, 10048, and many more. For more information, visit www.frankaruffalo.com, or you can find Frank Ruffalo on Amazon.
And we're back. Okay, so we're back with Bruce Smith, fashion photographer. Actually, kind of an all-round everything photographer.
Do it
But
all
the
for
pictures that I took that I downloaded are mostly fashion. You know, they're fashion. But
I'm getting more creative.
yeah, yeah, and we'll talk about some of the other types of photography that you have. But if we can get some of these pictures up, there we go. All right. So
Which one?
okay, so
Yeah.
the inset
Yes.
is one of the models that he shot, and her spread wound up in Vogue magazine.
Vogue UK magazine.
Yeah.
in
Oh, hold on.
2018, I think.
Okay. Oh, that's where I was confused with. So the smaller image is yours,
Is my
Bruce?
image.
Yeah, and so he's got the spread in Vogue UK magazine.
Vogue.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So
That shoot was taken in Homestead last month on her property, and that's her horse.
Oh, that's awesome.
Unbeknownst to me, until I got the tear sheets from that shoot, that's when I realized that it made cover.
Yeah.
Because
Oh.
normally you have to pay for a cover.
Really? Wow. All right. And there's another cover.
That one's not quite a cover. That's just an inset on a magazine. That
Oh,
was
okay.
also last month. That was down in Miami. This girl is amazing. I mean, she's so much fun to shoot with. And her dog, she just bought the puppy. She was 4 months old for the shoot. And I took the leash off her in Photoshop because I didn't want to see her holding a leash.
Oh,
then
yeah.
I
Oh,
took
so the
leash
original
out.
picture had a leash and you removed it.
Yes.
Oh.
Oh, that's pretty.
Anything
that's pretty-
undesirable or something that I don't want to be seen, such as the leash, it's gone.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that. That looks like a Coach purse.
It probably
That's all
was.
she's holding.
It probably
the
was.
Coach purse.
I've been asking her to shoot with me for about a year, and it finally came to fruition.
I love
This one is
picture.
one of my custom edits that I did. That was so much fun.
Okay, so
during
what was edited?
everything,
Everything.
everything. The
Except
It's a
for
fake
her.
model.
no, that's a real model.
AI.
The dress was the parts that she's holding in her hands that were holding up
Yes.
was not part of the dress. That was an extra
Oh.
piece of material that I had her hold.
Oh, you
And I
put
just
that
had to.
there?
I ended up changing the color to match the scenario.
Fantastic.
Oh wow. That's pretty. See, I want to learn how to
The
do
clouds,
Photoshop.
I enhanced the sky a bit more. to
Yeah.
bring it
And you
Wow.
use gels, right?
For that, no. I use my gels in shoots that are going forward.
Mm-hmm.
I have. This one is fun. She's
That's
such a sweetheart.
beautiful.
I haven't heard from her in a couple of years, but
Look
this
at
is
those
the original
eyes.
image. This was when she lived in Oakland Park, right opposite one of the canals, which in my opinion was more like a river. That was in her backyard, and from this image during pandemic, I got bored, so I created a couple of custom images from
Yeah,
it.
you had a little fun with
Yes.
that image.
Yes.
Let's see the next two.
This one I call the
Oh.
zipper face.
I
That
love
was from
that.
that particular image.
I love this piece.
She totally freaked out when I showed
Yeah.
it to her.
Yeah.
And-
But-
oh, I love it.
And-
Isn't that
I love it.
amazing?
I
It's like-
ended up printing it at home, so it didn't cost me other than ink to be able to print it for her as a birthday gift for the following year.
Yeah. And then you have one more with
Yes.
using her.
She's never, to this day, I don't think she's seen this
Wow,
image.
Look at this.
This is my zipper face. This one took me 12 and a half hours in Photoshop to create.
Wow.
Not
Beautiful.
consecutively. I can't sit that
Beautiful.
long.
Yeah.
But this was so much fun.
I love it. And these couple last ones are the ones your latest.
No, this was back in 2018, these two. Because I haven't even seen her since probably the beginning of 2019.
Yeah. Do we have any more? Is that it? I think that's it.
So what's in the
Okay.
horizon for you now?
I'm getting much more creative with my shoots going forward. I'm being a lot more selective of who and what I shoot. For a while, my mom passed 4 years ago, so my mom was my biggest fan. I'd go downstairs because her condo was below mine, and I'd go downstairs after a shoot for dinner, make sure she ate and talked and show her everything I did after I sent the images to either the model or the person I was shooting. And she could never grasp the scenario that, how come she's not looking at the camera? Well, not every image is at the camera. So, but she was my biggest fan. And when she passed, I started putting myself into shoots that I would not normally do. To
Say that again, I'm sorry.
When she passed, I started pushing myself into shoots that I would not normally do to keep myself busy and off
Okay.
my mind off of the scenario. So this past year, I decided to change all that. My mom would not want me to just shoot to shoot. And I don't either. It gave me a lot more experience with what I do. And so I started being a lot more selective of who I shoot. I'm getting more creative by the means of the ways I'm shooting, even outdoors. I'm using different. I've even brought mirrors to the beach.
Yeah.
I'm sure people do, but I haven't seen any when I was at the beach. People with mirrors on the beach.
Yeah.
When I shoot, I don't have a studio per se. I shoot either in my condo or in their home. A perfect example is I did a shoot where she was fully clothed, but she was leaning on the outside of my bed, onto my bed. I had a mirror laying on top of the bed, and I set, because my ceiling has popcorn, so I don't want anybody to see it, so I put a a backdrop above her as well, making it like what I consider like a little tent all around her to avoid having the ceiling and the white walls behind her. So everything in the background was black. Her reflection was on the mirror, but I brought gels. I had 2 strobes at the time, one on each side, and I put 2 different colored gels on them to enhance the coloring of her.
Nice.
And it came out beautiful.
It came out amazing
Oh, I would love to see those.
on my phone. So I will definitely be doing more of that.
Okay.
Yeah. And tell us about those wings that you have.
The wings.
As a prop.
I have a photographer friend of mine up not too far from Tampa, and I went up to visit him. Probably about 2016 was one of the first times I went up, visited him. He was telling me about a friend of his that was an older gentleman, a photographer, had been shooting for years, and he said, "I'll get you in touch with him. He'll help you any way he can." He became my mentor. He's pushing 80 now, so right before New Year's, when it turned 2022, he calls me up. He said, "Do you want my wings?" I'm like, "What?"
Huh.
And he's pushing 80, so I said, and he has no filter. He says, "Do you want my beep, beep, beep wings?" So I'm like, "Yeah, come get them." So I had a friend of mine going up there for work, so she went up there to pick them up. I used them for a paid prop for parts of a shoot. He made them from scratch about 8 years ago out of styrofoam, carved out the styrofoam. It's about 2 inches thick. And he hot glued real ostrich feathers onto the styrofoam. And they have little hooks so they rest on top of your shoulders.
Okay.
Only by the time I got them, the straps that have them rest on your shoulders didn't have the feathers on those anymore. And I never replaced them because I had to replace the padding. So it wouldn't be uncomfortable for them. I never replaced that yet. So when I do use them, the model has to be a minimum of 5'6" with heels. Otherwise, it'll be scraping ground. Or if I can have her standing on a pedestal that you wouldn't happen to notice, or I can just Photoshop to be a rock or something.
Right.
I'd be happy to do that too.
Beautiful.
I
Yes.
took it over to Naples or Naples back in May for the first time on a beach, and the last time I put those wings on the beach. They didn't lay on the beach, but it was windy that day, and to this day I'm still scraping out a little bit of sand here and there from the wings.
Oh no.
And I don't want to mess up the wings.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
About this time last year, I called him. I said, "How do I get more feathers?" He said, "I want to put it on the back of the wings as well, so I can do different angles from her, partial back or partial front." He says, "Send me $5,000, I get them." I'm like, "What?" "Yeah, that's what it cost me to get the wings, the
Wow.
feathers shipped here from Europe."
Oh.
I'm like, he said, "But I promise you, no animals died for my wings." Well, good. Otherwise,
no
I wouldn't be
animals
using
were
them.
harmed in the process of making the wings.
How they got the feathers, I don't know. They probably, for all I know, they picked them up off the ground for a couple of years. I don't know.
Yeah, that could very well be. Yep. And then, but you do other types of photography. We're running out of time here. I can't believe we're almost done. Okay, so tell you what. Okay, so you do sports.
I do sports. I do family portraits. I do corporate shows.
Corporate shoots.
Corporate shoots. I do headshots.
You do behind the scenes.
I do. I love
stuff?
doing behind the scenes.
I love
Yeah.
that.
For short films and movies and fashion shows. I don't do as many fashion shows anymore because it's not conducive for me that much. I've felt lack of respect on some people's end, not mine, but I don't get what I would hope to get out of it.
Yeah, no, I hear you. All right, so why don't you quickly let everybody know how they can get a hold of you? How can they see more of your stuff?
Well, my original Instagram was hacked about a year ago, so I started over. _Smithgo photo, and follow me there. Send me a DM, say you saw me on this podcast, and I'll give you a good rate for it.
All right, cool deal. All right, Bruce, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you
Thank you
so
for having me.
much.
All right. So I can't believe our time's almost. It blows me away how quickly the time goes on the show. It's crazy. But once again, please go to floridaartsnetwork.org. See, they knew I was going to say that, and they just put it right on up there before it finished coming out of my mouth. These guys are awesome back there, I swear. But go on over there, see if there's anything that you can help. And we're coming toward the end of the year. If you're looking for a tax deduction, Florida Arts Network, I think that we'd be a really good place to go, right? You know,
Help save the starving artist.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much, and help develop youthful artists, because that's where a lot of the money would be going. And we've got a couple of projects in the works. Can't talk about them yet, but once they get going, we'll be talking about.
Oh, we'll make you sign an NDA.
Yeah, I know, right? All right, so everybody, thanks for joining us again, and
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy Hanukkah.
Yes, and Festivus for the rest of us.
What he said.
All right, guys. We'll see you
Bye.
again in a couple of weeks.
Thank you, Bruce. Bye, everyone. Heart to you. Give me a heart. Give me a heart. For
Very
you.
Thank you for watching The Artist Loft. Make sure to tune in next time for another great show. A show that was produced by Ant Media Productions and hosted by the Florida Arts Network with your hosts, Richard Sosa and Frank A. Ruffolo.